Hi, I wanted to share with you a few things from week 4, just to kind of give a little bit of an overview of what we're doing this week and what's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. So this is about halfway through, really, at the end of this week's, because we're just together 8 short weeks. So I just wanted to go over a few things. So this week, our objectives are developing and understanding a variety of stylistic choices that an author utilizes in a specific literary work, analyzing literary work in the terms of style or theme, and applying a literary theory to one of the stories. So I wanted to kind of go over a couple of the assignments this week to make sure that everybody is on the same page. So our selections this week, I think you're really going to like these. Of course, I think I say this every week. I really like the selections that we have. But these always bring up some really good discussion points and really good response paper. So I really look forward to reading what you guys write. So we have The Telltale Heart from Edgar Allan Poe, which even if you haven't read anything from Edgar Allan Poe, it kind of is just one of those names that brings up feeling of melancholy and horror and lots of images from the works that he has done. So this is really a good one when we're talking about the stylistic choices, because even though it's very short, there's a lot of action that happens, and the story is called A Telltale Heart, but I always feel like my own heart kind of races with just the pace that he has throughout the story. The next one is a completely different piece, but also very short. Hills Like White Elephants by Ernest Hemingway. This is very short, has very little action, and this is going to be one of those that you're going to read more than once, really multiple times. I would suggest, especially if you want to write about it with the response paper, because there's little to no action. The dialogue is everything, and it's always interesting to see what people kind of uncover with what the two characters in the story are talking about. And this last one is I'm a Fool, is Sherwood Anderson, and this is kind of written as a personal narrative about this character and a situation that he kind of went through. Gives you a little bit of background, so kind of reminiscent of if you've ever read Catcher in a Rye of Holden Caulfield in that way, but just rich with a lot of descriptions and what is happening. And it like with Holden Caulfield, you kind of go back and forth, and you really like him, and then you really feel sorry for him, and then the other one is just like, why are you doing these things? So I hope you enjoy those. So as we always have, we have these online resources here for you to look. Of course, style, tone, and mood are kind of the focuses here. So it's kind of nice to look at these things in conjunction with the readings, because each of these are completely different, but they really fit in with our focus of style, tone, and mood, because they're all completely different. But the writers, of course, do a really good job with their choices, with their stylistic choices. So we have 3 activities this week. We have the discussion forum, the quiz, which is comprehensive. It's everything from beginning of the course till now. So you want to make sure that you spend some time reviewing and any of the stories and literary terms. Anything is up for grabs for that. And then this week 4 response paper, which is what I wanted to talk about just for a couple minutes. I have that pulled up. So you're going to choose one of these prompts. One of them, of course, is talking about style and tone, and underneath that online resources, of course, is some information about style and tone. So you want to make sure you read that. You could also pick a story and to talk about the theme that's developed. What kind of tools do you think that the author uses? And we talked about literary themes all the way back in week 1, so you would want to incorporate those in your response paper. And then the other thing to think about is choose one of the stories. You can go back from from weeks 1 through 4, just as long as it isn't from the week 2 response paper, and talk about any of the literary theories. And that's all the way back in week 3. Okay, it's talking about the literary theory. So you have those choices. But one thing I wanted to point out from your week 2 response papers, hopefully all of you listened to the feedback that I gave you on the structure. A few of you needed a little bit more attention to this. One of the very first things I'm going to look at is that thesis statement, and that it clearly states what the response paper is going to be about. I should be able to tell which of the prompts that you picked, without you saying I picked prompt number 2. Because you want to avoid any of those I statements and those types of things. But it should be clear of what the piece that you've chosen, and then what you're going to write about. So that's going to be your introductory paragraph, and that introductory paragraph, should, kind of introduce the topic and what you're going to talk about. Then the very last sentence of that paragraph should be your thesis. And then you're going to have your body paragraphs that are going to refer back to that that thesis. So typically you're going to set up, what the next paragraphs are going to be talking about in that thesis. If you're going to be talking about theme, if you're going to be talking about one of the literary terms like symbolism or something like that. So then you would have a paragraph about symbolism. So it should just be very clear and have a very clear flow into those body paragraphs. And then of course your last paragraph is that conclusion. So you want to revisit the thesis. It doesn't necessarily mean you write it exactly as it was written in the first paragraph, but you're kind of revisiting that, and maybe those main points that you wanted to bring out, and summarizing those, and then really what was the whole point of your paper? How does that all kind of wrap up, and providing that context? So make sure that you look over the rubric. We have a rubrics folder in the course, so you want to make sure that you're following that and not losing points. I know some of you lost some points from not following some of the things that are on the rubric. So as always, please reach out with any questions. I'm excited to see your work from this week, and looking forward to seeing you in class this week.